Hi, this is Daniel Posney, and this is Shifting Perspectives. And this is about how to navigate your spiritual awakening. So, some of the questions that come up is what happens? What's it all about? Do I need to give up my bad habits? Do I need to become ultra spiritual? How do I do it? How long does it last? There's just so many questions. So they're all valid questions. And I just want to do my best to answer those in a couple of different ways so that I can satisfy the breadth, the holiness of what's happening, and also, help you stay grounded in this whole thing because it can be very ungrounding. And what I mean by that is it can kind of boggle your senses and your mind and everything that you're doing, and could make you start questioning things like your job and your marriage and your childhood and all this stuff, and it can be really unsettling. And some people, they it takes them into a road that may look like depression. I went through some depression in my life, and it all had this kind of, I had all these questions that couldn't be answered. So yeah, it's not like a blissful, happy thing for a little while. As you start rolling with it, yeah, life gets really, really good, like better than it could have gotten, honestly, authentically, had you not had this spiritual awakening. So it's not that you're becoming more spiritual or religious or believe in God more. It's just that you're becoming more real. You're becoming more authentic. And if you think about it, when we first start in this life, we just come from the ultimate source, or from a place that can hardly be talked about. Some people call it God, source, creator, love. And then this world, which has its good places and some evil parts too. It has some real places and some really trippy, unreal places. And that affects us. Add into that our mind distorts this reality that we looks like it, that we see in front of us. Our mind gives us distortion that we should be in fear, that we should do these things that society tells us that we need to do, or not worthy, and all these things. And we do our best to make ends meet and make money and have a family and be a parent and all these things. The spiritual awakening kind of is pointing at something. It's kind of reminding us, hey, remember, you're not just a person that's here to make money and have a family and then you die. There's more to it than that. So some people have it in a big way. They have this spiritual awakening that just that all in one shot they get this thing, and then they're spiritually awakened or enlightened. But what I feel for me is that I've been going through this ongoing awakening, ongoing enlightenment. And the enlightenment is just this new epiphany of reality and truth again and again. And sometimes it comes in waves. So, over the past 23 years or so, I've been kind of going through this. And it's nice and gentle now, but at first it was like, there are the coarse adjustment, as opposed to fine adjustments. There are these coarse adjustments on the dial, and that kind of adjustment. Now, tweezers are being used, these little adjustments, and life is really real and authentic and open and expansive, and it's beautiful. Even though there's stuff that, I need to be concerned about, and I could worry about, but I don't drop into fear about these things anymore, because there's a certain knowing about yourself that you can get to that calms everything. You're never in charge anyway. You're not really in control. You're not really here, kind of thing. And so I know that it's a lot. It's a lot to kind of dive into that kind of thing. But, you know, you will take in whatever you're ready to take in. For me, I was like clamoring for more information, so I was reading voraciously and watching videos and movies that all kind of applied to this, and I just wanted to be expanded. Maybe I was driven because my dad died at 33 and I was older than that. And so I was like, well, I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm going to use it to completely soak all this stuff in and open myself up. So that maybe that was my motivation. But as far as like what happens, your heart just opens up and it boggles your mind. It confuses the mind because your heart says, that doesn't really matter to me anymore about what people think about me or what my parents are concerned about me for or what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, all those things, like they just don't have the same critical nature to them anymore. And that's something that you deal with. It's something that you ponder and meditate on. But the more, so the best way that I found to kind of move through this, especially in the beginning, is to give myself space. And I was kind of blending in space and drinking. So I would go through something and then I'd drink. And then there would be less drinking and less drinking and less drinking and more space around me and more like nature experience. So I started to find myself naturally driven or attracted to shaman and mystics and indigenous people and sweat lodge and powwows and drum circles and plant ceremonies and all this. It was like it wants to bring you back home. And that's where our ancestors were. They were home in nature. They were home in the expansiveness and the silence and the stillness. So there's this natural draw to come back into nature. And what I'm learning now is that I'm finding words to this. And apparently it's something that Jesus Christ was educated by the Essenes. And the Essenes were this kind of secret sect at the time. And they had all this high wisdom and high consciousness. But they had to keep it secret because the church saw it as blasphemous and heresy, against God. But actually it was like right there in God, right there for you. So I'm starting to learn how to put words to this. And one of the things that's in this teaching is that your mother, your real mother, is the Mother Earth. Not just like a, let's take care of Mother Earth kind of thing, but really your blood is the water of the earth. The air that's in your lungs is the air of the Mother of the Earth. That kind of thing. The bones that make up your body are the minerals that make up the rocks and the stones. It's that kind of connection with your real mother. Your blood mother gives birth to you, but only from the elements of the earth mother. So like all this kind of stuff, you start to open up more into this ultimate truth. And you take in as much as you can handle. And it doesn't really matter. It's like you're not on a course that has to be a certain speed or get it at a certain time, because the whole journey, the whole experiencing, and the lull and the pause are all part of the journey. So just being here is all a part of it. And all the crap and all the being pissed off and all the fighting your rage is a part of it. That's what's so weird. It's not like you're going through this awakening, you become this peaceful Zen person. Try it. It doesn't work. Or I've tried it. It didn't work for me. It may work for you. But what really needs to happen in a spiritual awakening is for you to look at your own shadows. So one of the things I'm working with a couple of people on is, it's fine that you're going through a spiritual awakening, but there has to be inner work, because it's the learned patterns and behaviors and beliefs that are in the way of your spiritual awakening. If you're really having an awakening to God, to oneness and all that, there is stuff in the way. If you're a human being, there's egoic nature in the way. There's thoughts and beliefs that aren't true. There's distortions that are all need to be looked at. That's the hard part. But I want to say that, even though I'm kind of painting the picture of this, it's kind of a struggle, it's beauty at the same time, because everything that you uncover that is not true anymore and never was true, there's this heart opening of bliss and ecstasy and love, and the love is inside you. So you can see why not everyone goes to a spiritual awakening. Like, I'm just gonna ride this one out. Nope, don't want to look at it. Nope, I'm fine where I'm at. I've got enough medication, got enough bottles of alcohol. I do my thing. I pray, and you hope for the best. But there's other people like you and I that need more. That religion or the church or well-meaning friends and family doesn't go deep enough, doesn't go where I know to be true. Like, they become actually a barrier sometimes. As much as you love them, they can't really give you the teaching that Jesus got. He can't really give you the teaching that the Buddha knew. And I want to know those things, even if it points back to me and my mind as the problem. That's what I want to know. That. Like that's what kind of as a spiritual awakening does to you sometimes, is it points back to the parts that you didn't want to look at that you're now willing to look at. But you're in good hands, because once you start to kind of determine that this is your path and you can't really not do it, you'll start to attract people that may be false in your discovery of yourself, that they're not really here for you and they don't really know what the hell they're talking about. But you determine that, you find that out, and then you start, like, once you start to really come into alignment, that's what we're talking about here too, is as you come into alignment with your own knowing and your soul, because all that other stuff is starting to fall away, you'll start attract people that really are beneficial to you. And you start going, that's the thing, that's the frequency, that's the consciousness, that's the self-love that I want to, that's the template that I want to kind of experience more of or hang out more of. And sometimes you hang out with this frequency of consciousness and you go, I think that was it. I think I'm ready for more. I'm ready for higher. And so then you attract something higher than that. And you have all these different stages. And I feel like it's kind of like you get used to a diving board and you can jump off that diving board and it's become very, you're like, yeah, no problem, I can do that. You start doing flips and things. And then you look up and you look at the next level diving board. And then you kind of find yourself there and you get more comfortable with that. And then so it goes with these new diving boards. Or you could say, like, you were in this frequency room or this holodeck, and you get used to that room and you've found a way to let go of the beliefs that kept you in that room, and you keep elevating to a higher and higher room. And maybe there's someone around you that's elevated all the way to the top. But you're here moving through these different rooms of frequency. And you get to look back at the old room that you were once in, or the old diving board, and you said, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, totally understand that. And the more that you can actually go into meta forgiveness, and what that is, so meta means beyond. So forgiveness is cool, but forgiveness says that something was done wrong. Meta forgiveness is it's a word I made up. Meta forgiveness is that you go beyond any idea that anything was ever done wrong. People were just doing things in the frequency that they were at. And we got triggered, we had reactions because we had thoughts about it. And so that's what was created. But if we go into this other place of everything was just what it was, and now I'm here. So another thing is this whole spiritual awakening. Who is awakening? That's the question I had to ask myself. so it allowed me to kind of pull myself apart into these different aspects, into me, the presence of me, the being, the what you might call the I am. So the I am is just this, just beingness, oneness, nowhere to go, nothing to do. I don't need to be anything, an American or gay or straight or even male or female. I just am. There's that part, and then there's this other part that wants to be, needs to be an identity, wants to be gay, wants to be straight, or wants to be an American, or wants to be a good person, or wants to be enlightened, or wants to be awakened. So on the one hand, there is kind of an egoic thing going on, that there's this drive to become something, but you just deal with it, that yeah, there's this physicality, there's this personality that is driving towards, leaning towards spiritual awakening. And so the one that is driving itself is merging into the oneness of what already is. So the I am presence already is. It doesn't have any drive to become anything because it's everything. So when you ask yourself, who is it that is awakening? Well, it's the mind, it's the person, it's the personality, it's the illusion, it's the distortion. It's all coming into clarity and being more comfortable with that. It gets kind of pulled into it, that it moves into this oneness, into this real clarity of being. And sometimes the ego struggles with that, but there's this more stronger force called the I am presence, called God and love, that is there anyway. So those kind of questions go on. The other question is, what about all my bad habits? Does it keep me from spiritual awakening? Actually, it can be a catalyst. And what I've heard before is, just be okay with your bad habits. Just keep on doing your bad habits, as long as they're not hurting anyone, not causing any suffering. But what happens is that those bad habits, they all have a purpose. They all had a purpose at some time. They kept you occupied or distracted, or thinking that you were unworthy. They just kind of perpetuated this feeling of unworthiness and guilt and shame. But once you start really looking at yourself and looking at your shadows, which is inevitable to do, those are going to start to fall away. And then the bad habits that are attached to those things will naturally fall away. So keep drinking, keep doing your thing, all that stuff. It's just that what you want to focus on is not that those things are bad and you're a bad person, that you should have guilt and shame. What caused those things? What thoughts and beliefs caused those things? And when you can kind of feel it, is that riding that horse or going down that path of looking at those things with honesty and clarity and unconditional love, you start to feel this love within inside yourself that's always been there. And that's a part of the whole awakening. That's what spiritual awakening is, that you start to see the truth of yourself. It's always been your mind that has made you believe that you are something that you're not. And it just keeps on opening and opening. And the only one that ever struggles with the awakening is your mind. But it's not really you anyway. So I'm thinking that's all I have now. Of course, there's always more if you want more, if you want to have a session or go deeper in this, or you want some ongoing support. Fantastic. Some of the things that you can do to help this, to support this, is to give yourself space. Could be meditation, could be prayer, could be going out on nature, jumping in the water. All those things really support. Go out there and let Mother Earth and your Heavenly Father, help all these things. Sound healing journeys, plant ceremonies, sweat lodge, breath work, all these things are really supportive. Reiki, craniosacral massage, love yourself in all these different ways. On the 20th, I believe, let me just double check this. I believe on the 20th we're doing, yeah, on the 20th, Valerie and I are doing a breathwork and sound in Sedona. So if you find yourself in Sedona, it's starting at 6:30 and it's $55. So what a small price to pay for supporting your spiritual awakening or activating your spiritual awakening. The other thing is that I have some time available for doing a private retreat here on the property in Cornville. There's some people in line for that right now, so get your name in there. We can schedule some time and get a 3 to 5 day private retreat to help support that. And then next week, we're going to have a special guest. So I'm really excited about this so that she can talk about what it's like coming out of the old way, the old life, and maybe some unhealthy behavior and where it all seemed natural, and then what it feels like, what life looks like to start going through a spiritual awakening when you're in it. So she's going to give us some, nitty gritty on all this stuff, and we can answer questions. And so I love you, thank you, bless you, and hope you have a perfect day for yourself.